Yes, y'all. Once again, actually, no, not once again. Welcome to the inaugural edition of the Sunday's Best Experience. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us. This is, like I said, the Sunday's Best Experience. You know, I'm joined by a wonderful panel. Right here on the Sunday's Best Experience, we kind of divulge into anything that has to do with the culture, whether it be hip-hop, music, sports, fashion, you know, all those things we adhere to, especially in the great city of Toronto. You know, there's so much that we have to offer. So without further ado, why don't we get into our panel? You know, we got a really exciting, top-notch panel here. Being that the theme of today's episode is social media, the influences of social media as a black man, you know, the perspective that us black men have when navigating these things, all these issues that are relevant to us today. So without further ado, let's get into this panel. You know, if you have a social media account, I can't see why you don't know any of these gentlemen I'm about to introduce. You know, to my left right now, I've got Bilal, Dawson, if, like I said, all over 6 Buzz, you know, a member of the light-skin delegation, you know, like I said. So thank you, Bilal, for being here.
Yeah, this is segregation.
And then we also got Mucho TV. Welcome to Brompton. If you haven't heard, you know.
And him too. That's for him right there.
Of course, you know, if you live in the GTA, if you live in Ontario, he's definitely made a song about the city you live in. So,
Or I will.
Thank you, Mucho TV, for coming out. You know, I really appreciate that. And my boy, Papi Trey, Tresor.
Where's my camera?
That's your camera right here. You know, president and chairman of the Faithful Black Man Association. You know, thank you for coming out.
No problem.
And I think there's a lot we got to get into. You know, got a nice, wonderful panel of influencers, and we could talk about the influences of social media. So let's get into these shits. Let's get into it. I think it wouldn't be right without starting without this pressing news that I think has touched all of us in some way, shape, or form. If you've been living under a rock, you probably haven't heard of it. Like, anyways, Nipsey Hussle passed away, was shot by a friend of his this past week, and it's, you know, really touched the community. He was, even if you weren't like a fan of Nipsey Hussle, if you don't know 5 songs off the top of his head, you are familiar with, you know, what this guy brings to the culture, what he did for his community, and I think he was a big influence in that way to his people, to the culture, to his community. And you know, he was a father, he was a hustler, he was a rapper, he was so many different things, and it's kind of the last person that you want to see go. He's not the guy that you want to see. So, you know, I think it's only right that we start this show with rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle, R.I.P. You know, thank you for everything that you've contributed and brought to the culture. You know, guys, any input on this for you guys?
Honestly, it's sad, because if that can happen to someone who is giving out so much positive energy, then it can happen to anyone. Like,
yeah, it's like one of those things, you take like 1 step forward and then 2 steps back. Like,
yeah.
Of all people to get like shot and killed and stuff, it's like this one guy who was promoting positivity is the one to go, which,
yeah,
you know, sucks, man.
You know, there was kind of this reception on social media that kind of happens when these devastating things happen, that it was sort of a government conspiracy, or, you know, blame the white people. You know, it's a very easy scapegoat in situations like this. And I'm not, in my opinion, I'm not sure if that was exactly the case here, you know. There may be an issue, I think the culture kind of has, with taking ownership of these issues that we kind of perpetuate ourselves, as far as, you know, black on black violence, gun violence, things like that. Was there any of you that kind of felt that, like, maybe there could be an influence of the government, or like, because he was working on a Dr. Sebi
Did you guys believe in the conspiracy?
I didn't believe that for 1 second, but I feel like it's different because it depends on your life and where you come from and that type of stuff. Like, I have a lot of family, like, in the States, in the hood. Like, I'll be over there. Like, I have a lot of family in Chicago, and I'm over there all the time, so I see the reality. So when people are like, oh, Nipsey got killed by like a government sniper or something, it's like, no, like, mans in the hood are really just that dumb and are actually haters and will kill you just because you're doing better than them. It's literally that simple, and it's something that people don't want to accept, but it's literally just that simple.
See, but like, I'm like just like a skeptic in a sense, so it's like I don't deny the fact that it's possible that it could have been the government. I just hate the people who are like, yo, this is what happened, like guaranteed 100%.
Yeah, like you don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah, the one girl was like, I saw it. There were snipers on the roof and stuff. It's like, why are you just like girls are making up, girls and guys, they're all just making up stuff. And they're all just like, this is confirmed. Like, I don't deny that it couldn't have been the government, but like at the same time, you kind of have to have like a realist approach of things. And like, I see exactly what you're saying about like people just being haters and shit. And as soon as you see someone get up, because he was spreading positivity, there's no reason to hate the man. And that's when like you hate someone the most, is when like they're just super likable, you know?
I mean, I think the fact that there's so much fake news that gets spread around these days, that makes the conspiracy theorists shit get even worse. Cause like back in the high school days, all we had was like some YouTube videos here and there or whatever for people to watch. Now they're getting these pictures of fake news articles, and then people are running with it.
Yeah, like people just believe anything that they see.
No one's citing anything. So I even saw some thread, you guys probably seen it around this too, where it was like the shooter did 5 shots to the head, 1 shot, the shooter did 5 to the body, 1 to the head. Yeah. This is military practice. Yeah. Bam! Government conspiracy.
And you know how many people ran with that, with the whole military style like, shooting?
But it just, news gets by so fast that like
it's
just, it filters, and it's just like you don't see the, like you're saying, people aren't citing their shit. It's like you just see it and people just roll with it like as soon as it goes off.
They just see the headline. They don't even like click the article or whatever. They just want to see whatever the headline is.
For real.
And then they're running
But
with
think
that.
about it, it's the same shit, like especially with Twitter. It's the same shit with CNN and Fox, man. Like you see the shit they talk about Trump, like sometimes you don't even know what's fact from fiction because it's just they see one thing. Like have you guys seen like celebrity news articles where they talk about this person divorcing and stuff? It's like, I guarantee like half of the shit is fake. And they just like see one thing and they just put a headline and people just believe the shit, you know?
They believe what they want, so.
Also on like the Nipsey topic, like there was more information that sort of came out about who the shooter was. You know, he was put into custody, and it's found out that it was one of his boys, you know? It was kind of like one of his homies. You can go back to Nipsey's music videos. You can see this guy in his music videos. And it's just kind of crazy, sort of another conversation about this whole Nipsey situation. Like, he was putting on for his community, right? And it was kind of his community, like one of the members of the community that he was giving back to that ended up killing him. So there is a notion that, you know, once you make it out your hood, that you shouldn't go back or something like that. That you shouldn't, there shouldn't be so much effort to build up your community. Do you feel like that there's almost like a confliction that these guys go through with that, and it's like, or is it like you just kind of gotta watch for yourself? Did he get caught slipping?
I think you could still go back to your hood and like support yourself and support the hood and stuff. But I feel like that's where like the strongest haters are. Like the people who like grew up in the same environment as you and you kind of did better than them, that's where like the strongest hate is, you know? Because you have no excuse. If you and me both started at the same position and I'm at such a high accolade or a high level, like that's when like the hate is like the strongest, you know?
Yeah, I think like you can go back, well, like up to a certain point too, cause like you're not seeing Jay-Z in Marcy projects. No. Like he's like, it's just not gonna happen, cause he's at a certain point where it doesn't make sense. When you're at that point, it's like you just being from there should be enough motivation for the people. But if you're on a lower level, at least like make it hard for people to get to you, like have security.
He wasn't living there though, was he?
No, he was just chilling like at the store. That's the thing, like, but he was like just chilling by himself.
He was helping one of his friends that got out of prison recently and hooking him up with some clothes.
That's the thing, and it's crazy how when you're a celebrity, like basically your life is not your own anymore. Like you can't do that. Like you can't be out by yourself with no security. If you're one of those like hood guys, okay, keep your shooters around you. Like you have to keep certain precautions at all times just to make sure that things like this don't happen.
Yeah, and you have to understand you're a target now,
yeah,
like at that point.
Target.
So you gotta just be like prepared for that. Prepare for the repercussions for that shit.
Well, I think one thing we're missing though is that like you can't forget like what life you came from, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So like us right now, like we're comedians, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we came from the grimiest places, but if we did, you know, it would be easier for us to go back to wherever we were at.
What's the difference though?
Because we weren't part of a crazy lifestyle, you know what I mean?
I agree, but even if you're successful, you're successful. You go, you know what I'm saying? If I'm making millions of dollars and I'm just roaming the streets of Toronto, you're still a target regardless. And you're a known public figure.
I mean, not really.
This is very true.
You don't think so?
there's levels. Like there's billionaires that take the subway in New York. They're not gonna get stuck up, right?
Show me these billionaires, bro.
Facts, they do.
But the thing is, though, that those people, most of them aren't public figures.
That's
like,
what I'm
you don't
saying.
know that they're billionaires. Like they'll just be a normal guy. And even those same billionaires, I guarantee you're not seeing them in Highbridge. You're not seeing them in Brooklyn.
And that's the
They're
thing,
taking
though.
a train from the Barclays Center to Manhattan. That's
But I'm saying,
it.
take Drake for example. Like, do you really think that he kind of grew up in like that area where he had like shooters and stuff?
No.
Nah,
So, but do you see Drake just roaming the streets of Toronto?
never.
If you're a public figure, it's done. You're done. You can't
Yeah,
be.
and it's-
You can't be in public like
There's
that.
a spectrum of how to move, though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Drake's super famous. He's kind of like what you said, right? He's at that point right there where anybody's gonna fuck with him because that's 30. He's a walking lick at that point. You know what I mean? And damn, I might walk back my statement because do
Yeah.
you remember back in the day when Drake he got
jammed?
jumped?
Yeah, I remember.
No, I don't even know
What's
the story.
about it?
Oh
Like,
man.
I don't even know the
yeah.
story.
The girl setting him up for his
Yeah.
chain or whatever.
When did that
And
happen?
he wasn't even.
I think he
Damn,
learned
it was
his
a
lesson
thing.
really quick.
Shit,
You know?
man, I might stay in the house.
No, I'm super paranoid, bro. Super paranoid.
You don't see Drake on road. Ever. I've never
No, you
even
don't.
seen Drake in person in my life. Like, ever.
No, you
He
like.
always with the crew.
I
It
would
just
be way
depends where
too
you
like.
are.
I'm way too paranoid for that stuff, bro. I'm thinking about putting cameras up in my house.
Nah,
and stuff,
honestly,
bro.
it just depends where you are and if the people around you are used to that. Like, obviously, if you're in LA, you're gonna see celebrities roaming the streets by themselves. But that's the culture, and that's how it is. Like, if you're in Beverly Hills, you're not really that worried about a man coming to shoot
That's
you.
facts.
You know?
And like most of the time, like a lot of these, like their setups, you know what I mean? Like they have the stuff planned and they know where they're gonna go because of like insider shit. Like most of the time, it's like your best friends who sold you out and shit. Like
Or
same
just
shit with
Instagram.
Takashi,
Mans
bro.
are posting on Instagram that they're at this store, and then people are on you.
For real.
One call. I think there's also like one more sort of conversation to take away from the Nipsey thing before we get off of that. There was like I feel like a specific reaction almost from the women on social media. There was kind of the like, this is why we text and call you a million times. There was that narrative, but there was also a lot of women I felt, we can talk about that too if you want, but there was also a lot of women that kind of were spelling out how this is like an example of toxic masculinity, right? Sort of the exchange that happened with, I don't even want to say homie's name, but the guy that shot Nipsey, the exchange that happened was kind of like he came to the store, got called a snitch, and kind of got mad, came back with a gun and shot homie, right? And it's, I think there's something to be said there about the fragility of male egos that happen in those situations, especially as black men. You know, that's I think probably the worst case scenario where you can see those results. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, toxic masculinity, I just feel like people use it as like some crazy catch-all term
a buzzword.
for like goddamn everything that goes wrong with a man. But if I want to be specific, then the way that men let their ego get bruised and they're, too prideful sometimes, that's a real thing.
Is that just a male thing? Cause I think that's bullshit,
I
man.
mean,
You know,
I
telling
think it's
me-
more men than women.
You think so? I think men might take it into a more physical approach, but you're telling me these women don't have egos, bro? That they like scheme up shit, bro?
It's just ours is projected in more of a physical
I would agree.
way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but to
in more
say
of
that like
aggressive
toxic
energy.
masculinity,
Okay,
like
but if a woman gets her ego bruised, she'll more likely to use words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what
or
we're
she'll
saying.
like fuck up everyone in her inner circle, and she'll scheme up some shit, bro. You don't see that all the time.
It is true, but like I guess like in this specific case, like I was ranting about it on Twitter yesterday. It's actually true. Like the male ego is so fragile, especially if you're from the hood or something, because you at that point you have nothing. You know when you go to a party and there's all the hood man standing on the wall staring at everyone, waiting for you to lock eyes for 1 second to be like, yo, what are you looking at? And start beef. Like people that leave their house just for beef. I forgot who said it, but I feel like it was Jay-Z or something. That whole thing when they're like, what are you looking at, is because they don't like themselves. They think that you see what's really inside them, and they
I
don't
like
want to
that.
show
I think that's
that.
the best. I rate that. I think
They
that's the
don't
best
wanna
thing
show
about
what
being
they
like.
really are. So that's why, like, when you're secure with yourself, like us, I feel like we're secure people. Like, it's not that serious most of the time. Okay, call me a pussy, call me a bitch. I don't care. Like, I don't care. That does nothing to me. The fact that you're getting so mad that someone said that to you means you're insecure. You feel that about yourself.
So you're suggesting it could like it's almost like a self-hate thing.
It is 100%, and it's what we're taught too. It's like if
Speak on it.
because people will take their fragile masculinity or their ego and call it disrespect. And it's not always disrespect, like someone's disrespecting you. You could be walking down the street, you accidentally bump someone, now it's beef because they're mad that you bumped them. Like, that's not disrespect. That was an accident. You're so quick to snap just because you're so on guard that like everything's a problem. It's really not that deep. 9.9
like
times
a
out of 10.
rapper thing, man. Like the rappers like have they have an image to keep up, you know what I'm saying? Like they have to be hard, like especially with hip hop and stuff, like you come from the streets, you have to be still doing the dope dealing and all that shit. That's why I think's like sick about doing the comedy and stuff is like we don't.
Oh man, no one ever expects me to be hard.
Dude, I wear a wig, bro.
That's beautiful.
I wear a wig, bro. You can say whatever the fuck, cause I don't give a fuck at the end of the day.
But some people will still try you.
Oh, for
just
sure,
because
for
you're
sure.
a public figure, but yeah.
Yeah, it's happened before, but like, it's just not on the level of these rappers and how on guard they have to be. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't want to project that onto Nipsey's situation. He might have handled it like a man and done it very respectfully, and then he came back like a deranged person.
No, I'm talking about the guy, not Nipsey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like how that guy was feeling, why he went to go shoot him.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. That's a classic example.
A lot to be talked about there, you know? Male egos, self-hate, a lot of these things that kind of play into terrible outcomes like what happened with Nipsey. I think that we kind of nailed it there. You know, thank you, Tresor, you guys really nailed that. You know,
hold on, real quick, about the first thing that you were saying, when all the girls were like, oh, black man, this is why we call you 100 times.
To go back to that.
Let's just rewind that. Okay, first of all, that is cap, because most of the time it's not, no, this is why we call you 100 times. No, most of you guys are just annoying. You don't
or
care.
Insecure.
Yes,
they don't
you're
trust their
insecure
guys
about
out,
what
yeah.
I'm doing, so you're calling me 100 times. You're not scared for my safety. That's completely different. And now everyone's on, oh, like, yeah, like my man, and I love him, and stay safe, and blah, blah. 2 weeks ago, it was real ass bitch, give a fuck about a nigga. But now today, everyone cares. Bro, this is why I don't like the internet. I don't like the internet, bro. Because everyone wants to take something and run with it. And we should honor Nipsey, and hopefully this makes people really see who he was, even though a lot of women just knew him as the relationship goals guy. Hopefully now they actually see what he was doing.
It's just sad. It's one of those things that it's sad you won't like appreciate a person until they're gone. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand that like so many people are like rest in peace Nipsey, but people are like you haven't listened to a single song of his. I don't think that matters.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think that matters. Like him as a person and how he carried himself was like goals. You know what I mean?
It's bigger with Nipsey. It's bigger than music. It's not just oh he had good music. It sucks that he died. It's what he stood for. The type of person he was.
It was something to aim for, especially as a rapper who they spend their money on chains like worth $500,000. This guy was talking about real estate. Like he was talking about like bettering yourself, especially the black community, about like building it up and like making it something more than what it was. You know?
Exactly. And now like what that guy did literally changed the course of history. Because who knew in the next 10 years what Nipsey could have accomplished?
It's really, really sad the way that got cut short. And, you know, obviously by the discussion that we just had there, you know, it's obvious that regardless of how big of a fan you were of his music, that, you know, Nipsey was a prominent figure in the culture and our community. He'll be greatly missed. And, you know, we'll always remember everything he brought to the table. So, you know, one more time, I just need to make sure, you know, he's got love in Toronto. Everybody feels him, you know, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. You know, thank you for everything you gave us. You know, once again, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Now, there was something that you guys were sort of touching on in that previous discussion, you know. You don't kind of got to do the same things that these rappers do, you know. You don't have similar lifestyles. You don't have to act hard and stuff like that. And honestly, once I booked you guys, it was one of the first things that struck me in my head is that, like, the contrast, like, you guys are really out there and represent the culture the way that an artist would, you know? You see that new Tresor skit, you see that new Mucho Bilal skit, and it's like, you know, you share it with your friends, you put it in the group chat the same way a new track comes out. And I just think it'll be interesting to have this conversation while you guys are here to contrast sort of the lifestyle, the grind, the hustle of an influencer versus an artist, an up-and-coming artist that may have generated a buzz that is kind of trying to get to that next level. And the first thing I even wanted to start with that, how do you guys feel about the term influencer? You know, you guys were just in that influencer versus CFL game. They kind of lump you all into that one sort of like conglomerate there. When some of you kind of make skits, some of you will do those parody songs, and it's like it is more diverse. So like, you know, starting there, how do you feel about that term?
I don't like it.
Okay.
Like I don't, I'm not an influencer. Like to me, I'm a comedian. I just want to make people laugh. I don't want to influence you to buy something. That's like a side effect. Like, you know what I mean? And that'll make my pockets grow for sure. But that's not my purpose. You know, like I'd rather someone just call me a comedian. But I do understand it as a catch-all term. But to me, a better catch-all term would just be content creator.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think anyone can be an influencer, like no matter your style. Like anyone, like so if that's the term, it's the fact that we influence people. Yeah. But like anyone can do that, no matter what your following is. I like the idea of just creator or content creator.
Yeah,
I
the
rate
people that co-opted influencer is just not a type of person that I would want to associate. There's nothing wrong with them. There's just nothing I would want to.
But who's an influencer? I don't like being, for one, I don't like being put on that
like
pedestal.
Kylie Jenner's an influencer. I am too. It's like. It's
But how she? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Because when I hear influencer, I think like flat tummy tea and like sugar bear hair, like supplements and you know that type of stuff. I don't really think I'm an influencer, but honestly, like aside from them, I don't even really think I'm a comedian either. Like because I don't really consider myself that. Because a lot of the times when people call you a comedian, they kind of like feel like, okay, like so you do stand up, you do this and that, and like that may be what they do, but like I don't do stand up. I've been asked to do stand up like a bunch of times, and it's like that's not what I want to do. Like so I like the term creative more because like if I want to make a skit, I'll make a skit. If I want to produce, I'll produce. If I want to like video direct or edit, I'll do that. So I like creative more than like influencer.
I agree. It doesn't like the influencer term kind of doesn't put you in a box. When you say creator, content creator, it allows for more. Like you said, you make people laugh, you know, but you don't do stand up and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting kind of the way that it can work on a person by person basis. And I think I'm really happy that the two of you two are here too, because in the conversation in the realm of like music and creating music, like you guys make these songs, these parody songs, the soca remixes and stuff like that. And it's like I see all the time people are hitting you up for like the originals and stuff like that. And it's like that's so similar to like an artist, you know? And it's like you probably know the ins and outs of, you know, recording softwares the same way an artist would. So, you know, an artist almost kind of works in that space of when their album's coming out, a rollout, you know, when their singles and their music videos are popping and stuff like that. But it's almost, in today's landscape, it's almost impossible to not be a popular artist and not have like a good social media presence, right? So in that right, a lot of the things that artists and influencers do are a lot on the same page there.
Yeah.
How do you contrast sort of that grind that you guys somewhat share and have differences with?
I feel like an artist versus like a creator. With creators, we kind of have to put more out on the front line. Like if you're an artist, let's just say I'm talking from an artist that's signed. The amount of content that you will produce, like that you will put out, because you could be making 100 songs. Yeah. You're probably gonna put out like 1 or 2 before your mixtape or before your album or something. Unless on the internet, unless you're lucky and the one video you put out goes viral, you have to constantly keep putting that out. You can't do that as an artist. You're not dropping a song every week waiting till a song blows up like that. Realistically, it doesn't work like that. Or you're Lil B.
Greatest artist ever.
Russ did.
You would think Russ is the greatest artist
I'm indifferent about Russ, but I don't.
There's aberrations.
Russ did it. Lil B did it.
I don't see a difference though. Like as especially in the new age, like we kind of live in like a microwave age where everything has to be put out like so constantly. I think as a rapper, like I do think it's an ego thing. Like you should put out a song every week. Like why not? Because they don't want to.
But lots of it is
I feel
like because
quality control. You got to quality control way more as an artist.
Because now all these rappers that are putting out mixtapes every month, a lot of it is trash. Like just don't put out 6 mixtapes in 6 months. Put out 1 in the 6 months that's actually good.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying if you can upkeep it, like see Tory Lanez for example, he's putting out mad content, and I feel like it's quality too. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you can upkeep that of having quality and releasing every week, I don't see why not. Like I feel like a lot of them do have the songs, they just don't want to put it out.
But listen, even Russ, right? He did his. It was kind of a gimmick too. He everybody makes a lot of music. He just put it out once a week, right? So he did that, and then after a year, I believe, he finally blew up. Do you think he did it after he blew up? Hell no. At that point, he's glacial.
I'm
with
not
his pace.
denying that. I'm not denying that. You're talking about these mixtapes. Are these people you're talking about who are already up? You're talking
Even
about.
so, no, look at like Future or Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan, like these type of Future. What in the last 2 years, Future's put out like what six albums?
Bare songs.
There was like one. Future's last good album to me was Dirty Sprite 2. Evo was not that good.
He's
like
wildin'.
we're keeping it a stack.
I know you're keeping Future.
bro.
Nah.
No, I low-key
but
agree
you know
because
what
it's
it
all
is?
the same.
No, but you know what it is? Because we're so used to so much trash being out that our standard, our quality standard has lowered. So what you think is actually a good song, 3 years ago you probably wouldn't have thought was a good song because there was better songs coming out. Now you're settling for mediocre songs thinking they're good songs.
But I think every artist should kind of find their realm and their medium of like what's the good like percentage to put out. Like Drake's releasing a project say every year. That's a lot for a rapper, especially at his level. How long does it take for Kendrick to release something? Maybe like
Years,
3
like
years?
three-
Yeah.
2,
Frank
3
Ocean
years.
even longer. Do you know what I'm saying? But like it just depends on like I say there's a mix between quality and quantity. You know what I'm saying? You got to find that perfect balance.
Right, but even then, we still like as creators, you still definitely put out more content than an artist.
Oh no
For
doubt.
Even
sure.
one
no
time
doubt,
a week,
no
we
doubt.
shit on that.
Do you guys grind harder?
Do we grind harder?
No, not necessarily.
Depends. It depends.
Because some
Yeah.
artists, they be in the studio like 12,
Yeah.
13 hours a
Yeah.
day. But it depends because you're still doing the same thing. Like King Batch, when he started on Vine, he said he used to do four videos a day. And that's a lot. Like,
It's hard to like take that creative to make something funny and like make it quality and put that out every day is like exhausting. Not only exhausting, but you're gonna upload some shit.
But I do think though, it's way easier to make someone click on the videos we make than someone just clicking on a song. You know what I mean? Like clicking on a song is
if you're not
No doubt.
established.
Yeah,
already.
no doubt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so people at our same level, right? So that's why, like, even people like me and you, right? Like, we'll have a good concept of a song and then make it a good song and then package it as a skit. Now everybody wants to watch it, right? But if we just drop, like, some serious shit, like, on
It doesn't
YouTube
work.
of the same quality, then
It
no
doesn't
one's
work
really
like
gonna
that,
watch
yeah.
that because it's
Yeah.
not something you want to click right away.
'Cause the
these-
thing- yeah, the
these
thing with
artists, the way that they
creators-
market themselves is a lot more tough. It's way easier for us to just be like, yo, click this than an artist. To me,
Because the thing with creators is it really matters about the way that you package your content. Like he said, okay, take like the soca song that I did or the dancehall song or whatever. Sure, I made it as a skit. People like it, said they want to drop it. I dropped it, and it gets like, say, I think one of them has like 50,000 on SoundCloud or 80,000 on SoundCloud. If I just woke up tomorrow and said, I'm dropping this song on SoundCloud, guaranteed it's not getting 80,000 views. Like, it doesn't work.
But
like
we know our realm. We know that Instagram's our power play. Do you know what I mean? We know that's what's gonna promote the other things. You know what I'm saying? So like, and especially it's just more digestible. Like, you want me to listen to a 3-minute music video and I have to click a link and I have to do all this shit? Like, it's not.
'Cause people,
You can just
that's
watch it on
the thing.
Instagram for
People-
a minute.
That's
it's
one
easy.
tip for anyone watching this. Keep shit like as accessible as possible. People
For real.
literally, it's as simple as people don't like to click things. If you have to click this to click that to get to the video, people
It's
are
not
gonna
happening.
watch it.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
That's why it's good on Instagram because you can just scroll and it's there. You know what I mean? It's
that's
right
a
there.
good way to contrast both, man. It's easier, like, for them to interact with us than an artist. They
And
need more invested in an artist than they do with us.
And
They'll
that's why I
click
think it's
way.
necessary for rappers to have social media now. Like, you have to, because there's no way you're gonna get the same views on YouTube, especially with YouTube's algorithm and everything like that. Your shit's not gonna get seen unless you have a big Instagram following.
They
and
need to
can
like you
kind of,
personally.
the conversion rate has to be blessed too, you know?
Yeah, I think unless you're a guy like Kendrick Lamar, who people are kind of waiting every 3 years to hear an album from, it's really difficult. You guys dropped a lot of gems there. I think there's a lot that young aspiring content creators will be able to take from that. Speaking of Instagram, there's this sort of widespread phenomenon. I think it's gotten more popular in the last 2 years or so. I did a lot of research on it and found out like they coined this term in 2014. But outrage culture and cancel culture. We were speaking about Instagram, like, and you were saying how that's your power, right? Like that's your realm and stuff. And without getting like, and I think it's important to establish what kind of cancel culture, outrage culture is. I sort of have like a formal definition, originating as call-out culture, currently referred to as outrage, is the social phenomenon of publicly denouncing perceived sexism, racism, homophobia, all the isms, and other forms of bigotry, and basically not supporting somebody fiscally, morally, digitally, because of, an incident or something that has been said. As content creators that so much of your livelihood relies on your social media presence, is it concerning or frightening that like things like cancel culture exist and that things could like in a second be turned upside down for you?
I think like at the end of the day, like you should be worried about it if you're a piece of shit. Do you know what I mean? If you're a bad person, then be worried about it. But like I'm not doing nothing crazy and shit, so it's like I don't see any reason to be afraid of like cancel culture. You know what I mean? I don't plan on being R. Kelly or anything, so it's like I'm cool. You know what I mean? I'm not like sweating that shit. But people are quick to like make assumptions even if it's not true. Like we were talking about the headlines and shit. They can be going just based on a lie, cancel you, and then like come to find out it's not the truth. But I learned something that's like people will only read the headlines. 100% of people will read the headlines, but only like a third will read the actual truth afterwards,
So you're not worried about getting canceled. You guys aren't worried about it?
I'm pretty chill.
I don't know. I'm not like, I don't feel like I would get canceled, but the state that
Don't jinx it, bro.
The state, like the state that social media is scary because people are so quick to cancel stuff. Like you said, it doesn't matter what it is, and plus, people don't care about the truth if the lie is more entertaining. So if I'm in a scandal and they said I did whatever with whoever, even if it comes out that that's not true, you're not hearing that. Like you're hearing the charge. The court of public opinion is all that's needed. If you get charged, no, not even charged. What's the word? What's the word? Yeah. If say they
accused?
Yeah. If you get accused of something, that's it. You don't have to get charged. If you got accused, in people's minds, that's it. Especially if it's something like really, really bad, like say like domestic violence or something, and it comes out that whoever lied on you, it doesn't matter that they lied on you. Just the fact that you got accused is enough, and now you're canceled. Because people don't do the research. They see what happened and that's it. Like I remember recently, people were wilding on Joe Budden because apparently he said that girls that dress up and play masks are hoes, right? They took like a 10-second clip from the podcast, and that's not what he was saying. If you listened to even like 5 minutes prior, you would have seen that he was just talking about people that don't understand the culture and just dress up just to dress up and take pictures on the internet. He wasn't calling girls that play mass hoes. So people will take something like that, and then now you're canceled, and now everyone from the West Indies hates you because apparently you said that they were all hoes. And a majority of things travel word of mouth. So if I said, yo, did you hear that Joe Budden called us hoes? And you told him, yo, did you hear that Joe Budden called us hoes? But you guys never saw it. But I told you that, so that's what's in your mind.
And we're never doing
now
the research to find out if like it was true or
No
not.
one
We're
does
just gonna start
research.
believing this shit.
Well, like that's like almost another point that I wanted to like address. It's like people almost have their minds made up before they go into these situations, before they hear of these things, and it's almost like they've been waiting for that opportunity to cut that person down, to drag that person, right? And I think a much more interesting kind of side of the whole outrage cancel culture thing is that like, it's kind of been going on and getting more popular the last few years. There's been people that have really taken notice to the polarizing nature of it, like just how popular it can make you, And there's people that I find are almost leveraging cancel culture and outrage culture to work for them, There's people like Kanye West who will wear a MAGA hat and to troll people purposely to get that reaction, right? There's people like Candace Owens who will kind of gaslight like the community, say wild things about the black community, and in that reaction, everybody gets upset, and it's like she uses that reaction, She uses people's outrage to kind of make herself more popular, get yourself, you know, more eyes. And it's like, I think maybe after Donald Trump got elected, it's kind of like that negative attention is just as good as negative attention, right? Or negative attention is as good as positive attention, sorry. And it's just very interesting, and I'd love to hear your guys' perspective on that, because there's people that really be using it for evil.
I mean, it's a backlash of cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
Because if someone is kind of in the middle and then slips and he gets canceled, then, you know, his livelihood's affected. But if he just goes headfirst into it, like Kanye did with the MAGA stuff, then now he has a new fan base, because cancel culture just puts two people against each other. So now it's black and white. There's not even any gray, right? You can't even just be a regular person. You either got to be this super liberal nut who like gets offended about everything, or you got to be this super conservative Trump dude.
Yeah.
So we're
There's
lacking.
no in between.
You can never just be like, I'm trying to find myself right now.
We don't let people grow. Does the culture, you feel like, kind of hold people back from that?
It does.
Yeah, 'cause
that for sure. We don't let people grow and evolve at all. Like it's mind blowing to me why people have to apologize for things that they said 10 years ago. You're getting canceled for things that you said 10 years ago. For what? It depends. Like the best apology is changed action. So if you have seen if I said something 10 years ago that was really bad, and you see me now and you've seen me recently that's not how I am anymore, why are you still bringing that up? Like, what's the point? Because nothing's gonna happen. I can't go back in 10 years ago and like change it.
And people just change. Like people like, especially think about who you were 10 years ago. You're not the same person.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's stupid, because I think, especially when you're a figure and stuff, it's like, this is who you are. This is the box we put you in. And then when you come to find out, like you've grown as a person, it's like people can't handle that. Kanye ended up coming out. He goes, yeah, I don't believe in that anymore. Because the man, like political views can change, and your views on people can change, and like your idealisms and stuff like that. And it's just,
He's a 45-year-old man, though. Like, this
Yeah.
guy's wild.
sometimes you be confused, man.
It was like
Sometimes you be
2
confused,
months.
yeah.
Because certain people though, like they tried to. I remember they were trying to cancel Brother Nature.
Yeah, man.
He said something. I forgot what he
I
said.
think
He
it was
said,
something.
No, he said some
homophobic.
crazy
Did
shit,
he?
yo.
Did he? Okay, I didn't see what he said. I didn't.
yeah,
see
he
what
said something about like
He said-
coons and like
Yeah.
people being gay and whatever. But it's like, he was 13.
Where you're just saying
If
shit
you-
to get attention.
Yeah, you just
yeah,
say
yo.
fool. Think about what you were saying at 13, 14 years old. Like, exactly. So, okay, sure, you can apologize, but now you apologize. What do you want now? I apologized. What else can I do? Like,
Because you just said it yourself. Sometimes people just like getting mad. People like just talking shit. Like, let's be real. You
Yes.
go to World Star comment section. People just like talking
That shit's
shit. They might not
hilarious, man.
actually feel a way. They just enjoy ruining people's day.
I don't know. I don't even go on World Star like
No,
that
me too.
anymore.
It's mostly like on World Star comments. It's mostly just like, so are we just gonna ignore I got a big booty? It's just
Oh,
some
I
stupid
hate
shit,
those.
bro.
I think the Kanye example is like a good one, but I think there's also been some really polarizing ones like as of recently. I think sort of like the Cardi B situation was very interesting, how people sort of dug up that live. Like you said, people gonna go to people's past, and she was speaking about drugging guys and robbing them. To
Yeah,
me,
but like,
That's a good one. That's a good question. How do you feel, man?
bro, like that. Okay, Cardi B was drugging mans, robbing mans. What do you expect from a stripper from the Bronx?
Oh my God!
We are putting Cardi B and Offset and their whole relationship. Remember when they broke up, everyone was like, oh my God, like love is not real. A rapper and a stripper from the Bronx. We're putting them on this pedestal as if they're some sort of like positive high public figure. Cardi B is openly ratchet. She's openly hood. I'm not surprised that Cardi B used to drug mans and rob them. You were a stripper in the Bronx. She's not doing that anymore. Sure, she can apologize for it. You can apologize for everything. But what's that gonna do? You can't go back in three years ago and make her not do that anymore.
Bro, and the false equivalencies were crazy. Like,
That was what
people
made
were
it
people were like, yo, there was like dudes on Twitter like, okay, so y'all were doing that to R. Kelly,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
now?
yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
And it wasn't the
when
same
Bill
at
Cosby
all.
did it,
But Bill-
y'all were.
Yo, did you see the memes like comparing their faces and stuff? Same
When
shit.
Bill Cosby did it, you were mad, but now that Cardi B did it, it's fine. It's not the same
like
thing.
way
One is
different.
rape,
Not the
one is
same.
robbery. That's two completely different things. Nice.
And I think one more example, like on the conversation of leveraging outrage to kind of work in your favor, I think it was very, very interesting to see the Jussie Smollett situation kind of play out. And it's like, it's almost like the guy engineered his own sort of rollout plan and used hate crimes and used things he knew would piss people off to kind of leverage his situation. And like, to me, as like a black guy that, the rest of you, I'm sure also felt the same, like, yo, that's so just, it puts us back, And it was just really, really unfortunate. Well, I mean, he got the case the charges dropped, so it's.
I was happy for him that the charges got dropped, though.
Yeah, I don't think he should have went to jail, but still.
But did you think?
Still,
Do you think
like,
he did it?
Oh,
Do
he
you think it was
lied.
a setup?
No, that was
Okay.
fake.
Just
100%
Just like it's sure, yo.
There's video of the two black guys
Yeah,
in the
buying the
store
masks
with
and
the
shit.
hats and the rope on the
Yeah.
table, like what? And they got paid in a check.
No, but I'm saying, so is the best repercussion him just being canceled? Is that like, did he get what he deserved?
He doesn't even need to be canceled. It's just like
You're okay with him going back on Empire?
Yeah,
man.
First of all, no one watches Empire like that anymore,
facts,
anyways.
bro, facts.
But he doesn't really need to get canceled. It's like, okay, we know you're a bozo. Just like keep moving, like move on with your life. Like that's it.
To me, this might be controversial, but I don't think anybody should get canceled unless they did something violent or that incites violence,
Yeah, that's true.
or like, you know what I
Or
mean?
something like harmful.
Like-
False accusation like that though is in a sense a crime though, because they are painting a certain group in a bad light. Like he used the MAGA hat, bro. Now he's painting MAGA people as racist, as violent and shit. So
'Cause
like
they are.
that's okay. But you see what I'm saying though? But if the roles were reversed, we'd be saying something completely different, no?
If it was a white guy,
The guy was wearing an Obama mask and he was doing some shit.
yeah.
I'm just saying, if the roles were reversed, we'd be talking a little
Then
different. I'm not saying that I'm supporting any of the MAGA shit. I'm just saying that he took this specific group and he said, these MAGA people came up to me, they tied a noose around my head. It's almost.
Because he knew that's what would get.
But
people
you don't think that's
behind
kind of
him.
like a criminal offense, though?
It's
you don't think
not.
that's
just
fucked up?
being sneaky.
Well, it's technically
fine
is a
line.
criminal
It's
offense.
a
We can't
fine
even
line,
argue that.
bro.
It's being like deceiving and conniving, but like, yeah, the whole thing technically is a criminal
Yeah.
offense.
That's an offense. If you call
whole
911
situation.
and you fake it, you're getting charged.
So you think he should be dropped from the what's
I'm
it
not.
called?
No.
Empire?
Listen, I'm just saying that. I'm not saying fine. Don't get charges. That's fine. I'm just saying of all people to cancel, it's not like where like I'm just saying like I'm not gonna support the guy because
Yeah.
he's corny, bro. He's a weirdo.
He's
Yeah.
a waste man.
He's
but-
a waste man, bro. Dead ass.
If those charges do happen, do you think people that make false police calls when they know they're not in danger, like,
Women-
like you know how white people be calling the police on black people, and like for no good reason, should they be getting charged?
Yes, that should be a charge.
Same with people
Damn, that's a
who
good-
accuse
hey.
people of false like rape accusations. You should
That
be
should
charged.
it should all
That
be a
should
charge.
Yeah.
That
And especially like you were saying, if say for example, I knew someone who was trying to be a police officer, right? And then this woman came up and she accused him of rape. Next thing you know, she goes, "Oh, sorry, it was just I was joking." And I don't know what the fuck she was saying. She's like, "Yo, it wasn't true. It
It's a
wasn't true."
hypothetical.
No, this is a real story.
shit.
And then the guy lost his job, his application to become a cop because of the accusation alone. That girl should be fine because she just ruined this man's life. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's so. So as for Jussie Smollett, like that, fuck that guy, bro. He's corny.
But
bro.
yeah, no, that's a crime with a victim. For that, she should be in jail. It's
Jussie
it's
Smollett's
harder,
doing the same thing
it's
about
harder
a
to
group,
pin
though.
who the victim is. Who, the Chicago PD?
They got their time wasted,
He was a
and
victim himself. He victimized himself.
Yeah. To me, like,
like,
that's
it's a fine line. I get it. It's gray, but I think that's still a criminal offense for sure.
So he victimized
For
himself.
sure.
Do you think that's an issue within the culture, like self-victimization?
But he was doing it for
Yes.
personal gain. He was doing it so because you heard that he was getting paid less in Empire. He was doing this for financial gain. So like that's fucked up, bro. Nah, he's
I
canceled,
think he
bro.
should get blackballed. I don't think he like nothing more will happen.
And
64
honestly-
years is a bit much.
64 years is a
Yeah.
bit much.
That's why I was happy for
That's
him.
what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is, canceled's good. You know what I'm saying?
Cancel
That's
me
where
that.
it's like,
That's
I'll
a
take
good,
that.
Yeah,
I'll
for
take
that for that case, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's wild. Getting 20 years for paying someone to beat you
Yeah.
up.
But you're
Yeah, yeah, yo, that's kind of fucked up. Oh man, he wouldn't do well in prison either.
You're saying if self-victimization is a thing that a lot of people do, right?
Especially within our culture.
And for monetary purposes too.
Think about how many people be crying on YouTube saying, they be talking about some shit, bro. They're making up stories, fake stories on YouTube and shit, talking about their lives and how, people have fake deaths, fake mother dying and shit, just for views, bro.
It's an evil world we live
That's
in.
some fucked up shit, bro.
It's wild, bro. That's how it is. YouTube, especially, that's crazy. Everyone on YouTube has depression now.
Yo, but did you see Prank Invasion kiss his sister?
There's no way that was real.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, bro. But
no way
still,
that's
just the
real.
thought of that is
I'm so jaded.
what
on
people
you.
will do for clout, man. Is crazy.
I think it's very wild, like the lengths, the extents that people are going to. And I think that's kind of also part of another conversation that I'm happy to have you guys here for. We kind of have this thing called Black Twitter, right? We're all familiar with it. And it's like, it's formally recognized now, but as like sort of a demographic on Twitter where people share like-minded things and it's like a community, right? There is some sort of a connotation that it's like, okay, this is just Twitter for black people and stuff, that it almost like creates a wedge, almost like segregates the culture. Do you kind of feel like it creates that sort of connotation?
Do I feel like we're being too mean to white people, like Daniel Caesar said?
Nah.
I think Black Twitter is more than just black people now. Do you not think so?
Yeah, because Black Twitter is not necessarily exclusive to black people. It's just more, I think Black Twitter,
It's hard to be in there if you're not black.
it just more.
Yeah, they'll get at you.
No, it's not.
They'll
It's
get at
actually
you.
not. It's actually not hard. It's just, if people rate you, then they rate you. Like, that's it. Like, it's that
But
simple.
what is Black Twitter?
It's like 99%
What
black,
defines that?
95%
Well,
black
I
people.
think like what Tresor is saying is that it's not necessarily if your skin is black, it's kind of people that adhere to the culture, right?
Yeah,
like
it's like
if you
the
know,
culture,
then
the
you'll be able to
comedy.
That's what
navigate.
I'm saying,
You'll be able
yeah.
to navigate
So you
within.
don't have to be black. Like, you could be Hispanic if you grew up around black
Oh,
people
yeah,
and you
yeah,
acted the same as everyone else acts, and
True,
you're on
true.
Twitter making
Yeah,
the
that-
same jokes and everything, then technically that's Black Twitter.
Was it fucked up calling it Black Twitter?
Nah.
Like just saying that this
It's,
is
it's
like.
descriptive.
Yeah, I think it's just like the representation of the majority of people who make these jokes and do these types of comments is black people. Like, a lot of these like funny things and ideas do come from black people, so that's probably why they named it that.
I think it's great. I don't even tweet much, but I'm just on Twitter because of Black Twitter. Like,
Twitter
Right?
is hilarious.
Black Twitter is a great place, and it's a very tumultuous place though too, and it's like a lot of very popular campaigns and hashtags originated from Black Twitter. I've got like a bunch here that, Black Lives Matter, Oscar's so white, say her name, I can't breathe, men are trash, Black girl magic. I mean,
Wow.
you probably like all these you can go
I
research.
never took in that first one. Sorry, say that first one again.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. That's Twitter, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Twitter.
So it's
I mean,
like,
it's a hashtag, so I
you know,
guess, damn.
we can really see the power and the strength of our culture and black people when we utilize it on just one social network. However, there can sort of be this underside of Black Twitter where I think this is another buzzword that people like to use when things are problematic, or, it kind of does go with the outrage culture. Do you think though, like, in specifically regard to race issues, because we talked a lot about like sort of domestic violence and those things, do you think that there's a part of the culture that can be too quick to demonize somebody over some racial sentiments or, kind of get somebody out of here for that? Because like, sometimes people be making the assumptions that we're kind of reaching on these issues and that we're being, there's people that are saying, Black Twitter can be sensitive. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, like, I don't like to trivialize how someone feels about being offended or whatever. Yeah. Me, I'm a comedian at heart, so I take everything and I don't give a fuck. Like, you can say whatever and it wouldn't offend me. But if you get offended at a joke that I'm saying, cool. You know what I mean? You just got to take that for what it's worth. You got the right to say what you want, and people got the right to behave how they feel. So and then nowadays, more people have the opportunity to vocalize it. To me, it's not really that big of a deal, as long as you're not tethered to some company. Then man, just wild out, bro. And if people get mad at what you say, just take it for what it's worth. But
Yeah,
that's
you can't be
why.
offended of someone being offended. You know what I mean? Exactly. You can't be like, oh, why are you offended? This joke isn't like you can't say that shit. But do you feel like sometimes people aren't even truly offended though? I'm just saying sometimes
because people are too sensitive. Like,
But sometimes they're just offended because it's the norm, it's the trend.
That's a good
People will
point,
hop
yeah.
onto
That's not how
trends
they
for
should
that
do it.
shit.
Talking
Yeah.
about,
like
right?
it's more like a natural reaction now. Like things that people would have let fly 5 years ago, they're not now because they just feel like they have to say something about
And
it.
everyone wants to be a social rights activist. Everyone wants to
Yes.
like,
You
and that's
don't
fine.
have
Like,
to-
feel free to be a social justice warrior. Fine.
There's
But
some-
some people are
yeah.
doing it for the reason of clout. And the same way you were talking about, they were talking about the Nipsey stuff, and they were talking about the girls talking about that. It's like, do you truly believe that, or are you just saying this to gain the likes and the retweets from like the women community?
At that point.
Exactly.
Professionally
Exactly.
offended. Now I can't fuck with
Exactly,
that.
professionally
If-
offended,
if
bro.
you're genuinely offended at what people are saying and you react, I feel like you could tell.
Like, do you
know
ever
what I
have
mean?
people talk shit on your comments and then you actually like respond and they go, didn't think you were gonna read this, bro. It's all love. Like, do you know how many times I get? Because I'll book people in my comments for
That's
that
another
shit.
question of just anonymity. Damn, am I getting that right?
Yeah. The
Because
concept of
they feel like no one's actually looking. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They just,
yeah, yeah.
But as soon as they see
As
that
soon as you
actually saw
acknowledge
that,
it, bro,
oh
like
my
sometimes
God.
people will say crazy
But
shit to me in the
that's
DMs,
an
bro.
aside. Like to people that get professionally offended, yo, forget you, dog. Yo,
You're
karma's coming
canceled.
for you.
But
Karma's
the thing
coming
is,
for
I don't
you.
even think people are that offended. I think it's just a chance for people now to project their insecurities, like, and cover it as being offended. Like, I remember there's like there will be times where I'll say something, I'll be like, yo, I hate when, I'm making a blanket statement. Say like I was like, oh, I hate when girls are lazy. Like, stop taking pics on Instagram, whatever. And then someone will hit me like, oh, how can you say that? You don't know if someone is mentally ill, and you don't know if someone is going through this and that and this and that. And it's like, yo, you're talking about mental illness. I'm talking about being lazy. That's two completely different things. You took what you're feeling and trying to put that into what I'm saying to get out the emotions that you're feeling. That's not what I was talking about. So I'm not gonna feel sorry for you feeling like that because I know my intention, that was not what
And
I
that's
was
the
saying.
problem with social media, though, is like, everything's like, you can't get the nuances and like the, like it's not a
you
person-to-person talk. If you're reading my tweet, you don't know the inflection in my voice. You don't know how I really was trying to express it.
Tone is super
And like, you don't
important.
know if I'm saying things in a comedic light. You know what I'm saying? Especially in Twitter. Like, you don't know when you're actually joking. People take that shit dead serious.
That's
and
why now, honestly, it's almost better to just not say anything at all.
I know,
Like,
which sucks,
you know how
man. I
much
love
tweets-
talking, man.
You know how much tweets I've deleted because I'm
Oh,
just
bro.
like, it's not even worth the headache that could potentially come. Like, it didn't even happen yet.
Twitter's
it's not
bad.
worth the
As soon
headache.
as you got a lot of followers on Twitter's bad. At least IG, they're a little more respectful. Twitter, oh my God.
It's
They're at your
wild.
neck.
San
You
Tresor
have
got
to-
a drafts full of fire.
Yo, it's facts. And this is a tip for any social media person out there. Go on Twitter, put in your @name, and then put in any problematic word. Put your
I've done this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gay,
I've already
at
done it. Yeah, I'm good.
homo,
You're not gonna get. You're
anything.
not booking me.
No,
I
real
know.
shit.
Delete
Make sure, bro. Make sure.
everything.
Dude,
Delete
especially
anything that you
every slur,
possibly
every-
Yeah.
Look it up.
Any
Yeah.
type of slur, any
I know
type
I
of
was wildin',
insensitive thing, delete all of it because they'll pull it up like Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart,
I'm gonna go
bro.
10 years back in your tweets to see when you said something as a joke, but it's not a joke anymore, and now
I know I got
Because you
gay
never
shit.
know what
Fuck.
people are gonna be mad at in 10 years, bro.
exactly.
You don't know,
No,
bro.
you have to, bro.
You don't know. I swear. I did the same shit, bro. I went back to like all my Twitter, and I was still reading some of the shit. Like, holy shit, how did I say this shit, bro? I deleted everything.
When did you have your Twitter? When did you open it?
Because it was a
Okay, so
different
I had my
time.
Twitter since I was in high school and shit. I ended up getting my other Twitter deactivated, bro. So I'm a clean slate right
You've
now.
had
Yeah.
it since when?
Bro, I've had Twitter since like grade 9.
So that's
Yeah.
like 08, 09?
Like, yeah,
2010?
like
Something like that?
09, 2010.
Oh my God, yeah. I know
I've
you
said
some
the
wild-
things that you
That's
could
what-
say
yo,
back
bro.
then.
Yeah,
See,
it
and
was-
like
it was a
people
different
are
place.
You were
people
looking
are
at
different. Like people are different now. Even like how people used to say, "Oh, like that's gay," like was just normal back then. Like obviously we know now that that's not okay, but we used to say that just normally, and people will pull that.
And then
back
you don't know
up
the
from when it was
inside jokes you
normally-
were having with your friends, and you're thinking like, oh, I'm not gonna be like, especially when you're just thinking it's just you and your friends, like they're the only ones viewing this shit. And then you get your Twitter up, and people will go back. Like the Kevin Hart shit was an attack, bro. They went back 10 years. You know what I mean? They were looking for dirt, bro.
Well, there's that element that I also kind of wanted to sort of talk about. It's like, are these things really problematic? Like you said, like we used to say that's gay, and it's like we don't say that now, and it's like, are these things that people are upset? Not even using that as an example. I'm just kind of bringing up what you said, but are these really things that are problematic, or is it true? Are these the nuances of how life should be, and it's part of the learning curve in destructing, oppression and systems of white supremacy, by adjusting our language and the way that we talk?
It's different in comedy. Like, you know what I mean? Have you guys seen Eddie Murphy's Delirious?
Yeah.
The
what he
shit
said in
this guy
Delirious is
says is
wild.
wild, bro. And it's like, I think the good thing about comedians is like, listen, I don't hate on any specific group. I feel like if anything, if I joke about somebody or something, it's almost just showing like how open I am to it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, feel free to make jokes about me, man. I'm open to that, but I kind of do the same thing. Like, you hear the shit Dave Chappelle said to Daniel Caesar.
When he was saying how Daniel Caesar is gay.
Yeah, but like, I don't think man was hating on him. Do you know what I mean? I feel like when you're close to
just talking
someone,
shit.
same
Like, he's
way
just
we would
talking
talk
shit.
shit to each other, it's because like, I know you can handle a joke. You know what I mean? But people,
That one wasn't even funny though. That was just,
it was just a slide
it
in,
got
bro.
awkward and I was laughing at it, but I'm like, come on, Dave Chappelle. But I think that like they had a way bigger leash back in the day. And so yeah, there was some offensive shit, but there was some gold there too, right? And I think nowadays, someone said the most fire shit about stand-up specials nowadays. I don't know if you guys watch stand-up much. But a lot of these new stand-up specials, like the ones on Netflix or whatever by the major people, bro, they sound like fucking TED Talks now.
You were talking about this on Twitter. Like, it's progressive comedy
They
now.
sound like fucking
Yeah.
TED Talks. Everybody's trying to be progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, and the crazy thing is, nowadays, like someone like Trevor Noah, right? To
Great
me,
example.
To me, he's not funny. Like, that guy's not funny at all. He's a professor to me.
I agree.
That
Like,
guy-
he has great insight, but it's
That
not like
guy's
I'm not
not-
laughing at a Trevor Noah special.
Exactly, and he started as a stand-up, right? So now what a lot of stand-ups are doing, they're not playing for the laugh. They're playing for the applause.
I like that.
You shouldn't be doing comedy waiting for an applause. You should be trying to make people laugh. Get out
Yeah,
their
whatever
chair.
happened to telling a stupid dick joke? Just relax, bro.
Because people are scared to get canceled.
Yeah,
Exactly.
man.
So I think that's a negative thing. But again, it's to people that are tethered to a company. Like the lone wolves that, they literally just live their life off of stand-up.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's such a fire art. They're still hilarious. You look at someone like Bill Burr, if you guys are
Yeah, I
familiar
love
with
Bill
him.
Burr.
He's still hilarious. He still doesn't get
Even
the fuck.
Dave Chappelle can say whatever the
Even
fuck
Dave
he wants.
Chappelle,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, because that's it. Because
Unless
that's
Daniel
true.
Caesar-
Unless you're
As
unless you're
long
a Kevin Hart and you have a Nike deal.
Like, yeah, if you're Kevin,
Kevin
like,
is different.
you gotta
Like,
watch
did
your
you
words.
watch his last
I
stand-up?
watched
No, I
it.
didn't.
I watched it and I wasn't really feeling it. The whole thing was literally about his kids. You could tell that he was just trying to stay safe.
The best
It's
thing
like
about
he has too many things that he's attached
he's just
to.
I think the thing with like because I was studying a lot of stand-up comedy too is like as a stand-up comic you have to be relatable and you have to be like almost one with the people. It's hard to relate to Kevin Hart. He is a millionaire. He is not relatable anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? One person who's a genius is Dave Chappelle because somehow he's rich as fuck, man, right? But he still is able to reach that like relatability and he is able to like he's a genius when it comes to that shit, bro, because he will even acknowledge the fact like I think one of the biggest rules is don't make yourself bigger than the audience, right? And that's the sense of don't come up and say, "Hey, I'm the shit and now listen to me talk." Dave Chappelle can still make those jokes and still make it comedic. But that's like a skill. He's one in a million
It's
on
a
that.
skill,
He's an outlier.
and he's mastering it in 2019. Save for him calling Daniel Caesar gay for no reason, but he is, right? But I think the thing is, as long as when you punch down, like you guys know what punching down means, right? As long as when you punch down, you're being a lot more cognizant of what could happen there, I think you're fine these days.
And just
But
acknowledge
people
stuff.
are being so cautious. You know what I mean? That it's fucking up the game as its entirety. But I still think you could be successful.
I just want to be honest, especially when I further in my careers, I just want to be an honest person. I'm okay with say for example, Dave Chappelle, I hate to bring him up again, but he made a joke about transsexuals. Transsexual community got out
Transgender.
trans.
You can't say
My bad. Can we edit that?
Yeah, we can go
Okay,
back. Don't worry.
Yo, so anyways, he made a joke about transgenders, right?
Yeah.
And the whole trans community got outraged.
It was a good joke.
And his next set, he just acknowledged how they got outraged. I feel like if you can just acknowledge it, and he even apologized. He's like, listen, the joke might have been a little bit insensitive. Then he went on and talked about how it's more about his insecurities and stuff. I would love to be able to be open like that and just be like, hey, listen, I made this joke. I thought it was funny at the time. Here's why it's not right to say, or here's me defending my joke. You know what I mean? And just, I feel like if you're an intelligent person, you're an intelligent person. You're not going to be saying
navigate
things
it,
just
yeah.
to say them, right?
But it's harder as a public figure or someone that's on camera or on TV because you don't really, like, we say things and we just say things to say this. Like right now, we're saying things, we may watch it back and think, that's not really how I feel. But you don't have the chance to go back and say that. But the people sitting at home can be like, oh, why would you say
He
that?
thought about this for
Like,
days
why would
before he
you
said
say
it.
that? That's so problematic because of blah, blah, blah. When in reality, that's not really what you mean, but we just don't have time
We
to
can't write essays.
formulate a full, complete thought. You're just saying the first thing that comes off of your head. And I guarantee, like, for anybody, anywhere, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is not necessarily exactly what you think. It's you trying to put your thought together, and you may not have time to properly put your thought together.
But should that be but that's our role though, because it is, for one, it's hard to say something like in the moment, and we have lights, we have cameras, like that's pressure in itself. But I'm saying the fact that we put ourselves in the field, we should hold that responsibility.
Yeah, you need to know what comes with it. That's the thing.
I agree.
a big fact.
I really like how we went really full circle on that. I didn't need to say anything. Like, you guys went through the points how I thought it was going to. I agree. There's some disingenuousness there for sure in the culture as far as activism and, you know, things that are problematic and whatnot. So I'm glad that we could kind of unpack that. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Sunday's Best Experience with our wonderful panel. Thank you, Bilal, Mucho TV, Tresor. You know, there's a lot of things that we unpacked today, you know, as far as the culture, as far as our community. So, you know, I'd like to thank these guys for coming in. And once again, this has been the Sunday's Best Experience. We'll see you again.
Shout out black women.
Definitely.
Yeah, same.